events where we're just kind of making sure that the board, there's a number of board members here and myself, we're out there and we're supporting local businesses. That's point number one, which is why we're going to the restaurants as opposed to bringing things up to the village hall. But it's a great way for us to hear what's on your mind, have a guest speaker, talk about some interesting things. So I thought this would be fun, and so we'll get rolling. So as most of you know, one of the largest ethnic groups in Orland Park is of Irish descent, Irish and Scottish descent, so it's one of the things we wanted to talk about. And so we thought this would be fun. So we're just going to have a kind of a freewheeling conversation. We'll let Padraig introduce himself, kind of tell us about the role, and we'll take some questions from the crowd, and then we get to a point, if you got questions about the village, and we can figure that out, we'll fire away. So, we ready?
Great, yeah. Thanks very much, Mayor. First of all, thanks for hosting us here. Delighted to be joining you all here at Orland Park. And I feel very much at home in a green space like this. It's great.
Green with Guinness, right?
I'm not sure if there's
no,
Guinness.
No, they've got Guinness. Trust me, they have Guinness.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Mayor Dodge said, I'm Padraig Manning. I am the Deputy Head of Mission at the Consulate General of Ireland in Chicago. So we're the Irish government's diplomatic office here in Illinois, and we work across 9 states throughout the Midwest. So we're based in downtown Chicago, but we spend a lot of time out and about all around Illinois and the wider Midwest. We spend a lot of time at Gaelic Park, somewhere that some of you might be familiar with. So they're a very close partner of ours. But I think what I'll do today is I'll speak a little bit about the work of the consulate, and then we can have a chat, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the different areas that we work across. But as I said, we're the Irish government's diplomatic representative office here in Chicago. So we're one of 9 Irish government offices around the US. So we work very closely with our embassy in DC and our other consulates around the country to strengthen the US-Ireland relationship. Our work is very broad. We can separate it into five very broad areas. The first is citizen services and consular services. So first and foremost, the Irish government's office here in the Midwest is here to support Irish citizens, working on everything from passports and citizenships to visas, and assisting Irish citizens who need some sort of consular services. We also do a lot of work to strengthen the extraordinary political partnership between Ireland and the United States, working with bipartisan caucuses, local officials, state officials, and federal officials to make sure that Ireland's values and our interests are well understood here in the United States. We also work on the economic relationship as well. And one of the most striking things about the Ireland-US relationship today is our economic partnership. So along with the consulate in Illinois, Ireland has got economic state agencies here as well. So a state agency that focuses on foreign direct investment, and a state agency that focuses on supporting indigenous Irish businesses scaling up overseas. We also do a lot to promote Irish culture here, so assisting artists in showcasing their work here in Illinois and around the Midwest. And then lastly, and probably the most special thing about working in the consulate in Illinois, is the work that we get to do with the Irish American community. So as Mayor Dodge said, the state of Illinois, it is an incredibly large hub for Irish communities. The state of Illinois alone has 1.3 million people who identify as Irish or Irish American. In the city of Chicago, that's over 200,000. Obviously, Orland Park has a very significant Irish heritage as well. So one of the most unique things about being employed by the Irish government and working in Illinois is that we get to work in one of the great Irish states in the US.
Good to know. Now, what about you? What is your story? How did you get to this role? Tell us about your upbringing in Ireland, county, the whole shot.
I'm originally from County Cork, so Cork, as far south as you can go on the island of Ireland. I'm from kind of the border between the Cork City and Cork County. So Cork City is the second largest city on the in Ireland. So we've kind of got maybe that second city syndrome that Chicago has as well. So there's a rivalry between ourselves and Dublin, the capital city. So I was educated in Cork. I spent time doing graduate study in London, but I've been working for the Irish government in the Irish Civil Service for 7 years now, so since 2019. So the roles that I've worked I've worked in our embassy in London, working on the Ireland-UK relationship. I've also spent time in the Irish Department of Education, working on education policy. And then I returned to the Irish Department of Foreign Affairs, my current employer, which is, I guess, the equivalent of the US State Department in Ireland. I've been working with them again since 2021. Initially worked on Northern Ireland issues, so working on the relationship between Ireland and Northern Ireland, North-South cooperation. Spent 3 years doing that before being posted overseas to Chicago to work as the Deputy Head of Mission here. So I've been in Chicago for almost 3 years now. The way it works is we get a 3-year term, a 3-year posting. So my term will be coming to an end in August, September. I'll be heading back to Dublin to work in headquarters for a little while before taking up another posting.
Well, hopefully both the Chicago area and the state of Illinois have been treating you pretty well, and this has been a good part of your career.
Definitely, yeah. Chicago, it's been very easy to feel at home here. In a city like Chicago with such a strong Irish heritage, as I said, very easy to integrate yourself into the city, to feel at home. But in addition to that, I suppose the work that I have the opportunity to do at the consulate, you get a little bit of a taste of everything, which I really appreciate.
Oh, I can imagine. Quick question, show of hands. How many folks in here have Irish descent? All right, good. That's kind of we want to talk about how many have Irish passports or Irish citizenship? So,
okay.
Do you mind taking everybody? My sisters have been after me for years. My mother's born in County Clare, got here in '49, was naturalized in the early '50s. So my sisters have been after me for a while on getting the citizenship. So why don't you talk everybody through that?
Okay, it sounds like there are probably more people who are eligible for citizenship. I know that there's at least one passport holder who I was speaking to earlier today. But the way Irish citizenship works is if you have a grandparent born anywhere on the island of Ireland, then you are entitled for Irish citizenship. So if you've got a grandparent, or equally if you have a parent, you're entitled for Irish citizenship. Now, if your connection to the island of Ireland is through a grandparent, there is an additional step for you. You have to register with something called the Foreign Births Register, but it's quite a straightforward process. What you need is you'll need to secure some documentation relating to your Irish-born grandparent. We can provide you guidance on that from the consulate. It generally requires you going to the General Registrar's office with the approximate date and place of birth of your grandparent. You'll get that certificate in a couple of weeks. And then you just establish your link to that individual. So it means you'll need to submit some documentation relating to your parent and some documentation relating to yourself. But really, provided you can access the birth certificate of your Irish-born grandparent, some other documentation relating to their life, marriage certificate and a death certificate, and you can establish that link through your parent, then you're entitled for Irish citizenship.
So it really is pretty straightforward.
It is quite straightforward, and I suppose it's one of the bread and butter issues for the consulate. So I mean, if you've got any questions about it, just please feel to reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to help you. Once you get on that foreign birth register, then you can apply for an Irish passport.
There you go. Got a couple of questions. Let's just have some questions.
What if you have a great-grandparent?
Unfortunately, if you have a great-grandparent, you're not eligible for citizenship through the foreign birth registration process. So I'm sorry about that, but I suppose the good news is that as a US citizen, you can travel to Ireland visa-free for up to 90 days anyway. So, while citizenship may not be an option for you, visiting and spending a good bit of time on the island of Ireland, that's just fine.
What would the benefits be of
You want to
Yeah,
repeat the question?
So what would the benefits be of having an Irish passport? It's a good question. I mean, for many people, when they apply for an Irish passport, they're doing it for sentimental reasons in many cases. You know, they want to connect with their heritage and their roots. So you know that is a very valid reason for people to get an Irish passport. But there's also practical reasons, I suppose. You know, if it is the case that you spend a lot of time traveling around Europe, having an Irish passport may make your life a little bit easier. Ireland's a member of the European Union, one of the 27 members of the European Union, meaning that if you have an Irish passport and you're traveling around Europe, just makes your travel maybe a little bit more seamless than it would if you were traveling on your US passport. Voting in Ireland, it's residents only vote. So lots of European countries do allow their diaspora or their citizens overseas to vote. In Ireland, that's not the case. It's only under very, very limited circumstances that Irish citizens overseas can vote. The general rule is you have to be resident on the island of Ireland to vote.
Yeah, it's a good question. You've heard the joke in Cook County, it's like vote early, vote often, so we can't help but ask, right? Can you cast 2 votes? Just get on a plane and come back and do it. So that's a well-intentioned question. Go ahead, sir.
Is there a residency requirement?
Not for citizenship. So, I mean, provided that you have a parent or a grandparent born on the island of Ireland, then you can be a citizen and reside overseas. I mean, what it means is if you wanted to become a resident, it would make your life a lot easier if you had your passport. But no, there's no requirement to be a resident. If you have a parent or a grandparent born on the island of Ireland, you can apply for citizenship. Sorry, yeah.
If my wife is the Irish, that.
So if your wife is Irish and you're not, is that what you're saying?
First, we should be sympathetic for the man, right?
I suppose in that case, for your circumstances, it would mean that your wife can apply for an Irish passport, can have an Irish passport, can move to Ireland in a very straightforward way. You know, if you were to move with her, for example, then there would be a residency requirement for you for a number of years before you would be eligible for citizenship. But if you got like specific questions about that, we can follow up after. Not that we're trying to get people to move out of Orland Park.
No, yeah. Bad idea, my friend, bad idea. But, you know, maybe she just leaves you in the slow line if you're going through Europe with a passport, right? Question?
When you get your Irish citizenship, are there any economic benefits or also like tax liabilities, like any income tax?
No, so the question is about tax liability and Irish citizenship. So it's not the same as, I suppose, your US citizenship and the implications that would come with that. Again, that would be residency based.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and that gives you a sense. So for those of you that didn't hear that, a year and 3 months, I think, was the entire process from tracking down the birth certificate to actually having the physical passport in your hand. So in recent years, the government of Ireland has moved a lot of our passport and citizenship services online. Yes, we're still there at the consulate, but we have made the process a lot more efficient, that you apply online, you physically send in your documents, either to the consulate or back to Dublin, and then all of your interaction with your application, that would be done online really, rather than you having to come into the consulate or present in person.
Question?
Yeah, I know that's a lengthy process, but I'm involved in it. It's been almost 9 months. Haven't heard
I think in that case, you should probably contact us first and foremost. So I can give you a card after this, and we can follow up on it. But what I will say is, at the moment, the average processing time for foreign birth registrations, it is around 9 months. So that's, you're at 9 now. So I mean, once it goes over that 9 months, I think you're well within your rights to contact us to see what's going on. But generally speaking, no news is good news. You know, if the processing team need additional documentation, they need some clarification on something, they will reach out to you.
Like, they would have let you know by now?
They generally speaking, they would. Yeah, I mean,
They've had my documents since June.
they've had the documents since June, and you're now in. Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be unusual. That is the process, really. I know it is a reasonably lengthy process, and you might not like to do without your documents for 9 months. But I mean, generally speaking, if there is an issue, you would have got an email. But I'm happy to follow up with you. I'll give you a card, and we can take a look into it.
I suggest you take a picture with them and send that in with your application. Just hey, it's Cook County.
I'm not sure that's good now.
Hurry up before you head back, right? Go ahead, sir.
Does an Irish passport enable over to receive free or reduced healthcare when traveling in Ireland?
Again, that would be kind of residency based, I suppose. You know, if it is the case that you move to Ireland, that's when those questions would come into play. But I suppose the passport itself, it would give you the right to be resident, you know?
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Okay, so just to recap, you have to have grandparents
Or parent.
or great-grandparents.
No. So the question there is it grandparents and great-grandparents? It is grandparents or parents. So if it is a great-grandparent who's linked to Ireland, unfortunately, you wouldn't be eligible for Irish citizenship.
And you're not going to move and wait for a few years till you get the citizenship. You're going to stay in Orland. Good.
My grandparents were born in Ireland, so I could get a passport. Would my kids then be eligible on the basis because I got it?
So that question is about children. So your grandparent is born on the island of Ireland. Yeah, unfortunately, in this case, the link would stop with you. If it was the case that you had claimed the Irish citizenship before the children were born, then they would have been entitled to it. But in this case, no, they wouldn't.
Of the things that I'm just kind of shifting gears a little bit, of all the things you deal with, for you personally in your career, I guess as a diplomat, right?
Yeah.
What's next? What do you like about this form of public service? What's your passion?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the passion first and foremost is the citizen services. You know, it really is, you know, being the first point of contact for Irish citizens here in the Midwest. If they're traveling here, if they have some sort of an issue that they need help with, you know, that is one of the most rewarding parts of the job, and there's no doubt about that. And I think, you know, for the rest of my career, you know, I hope to be working in consular roles again, where you are there for people, first and foremost. So I think that's probably the most special and rewarding part of the job. But as I said, you know, there are a huge number of other elements
Right.
of the work here that I really, really enjoy. I'm working with some of our political partners is it's very interesting, I suppose, observing U.S. politics up close like this. So that's something that I really enjoy.
It's a contact sport.
It is, but you know, it's something that, you know, even in Ireland, you know, we're all very close observers of U.S. politics always. You know, I think because we've got that strong Irish community connection, where we are geographically as well. You know, we're wedged between the UK, the United States, and obviously Europe as well. So we're very, very keen observers of the political system in the UK, in the US, and in Europe. So you know, that's something that's a privilege to work on. But then, as I say, you know, one of the real special things about what we do is working with the Irish American community, and I think that's one of the unique things. You know, there are lots of Ireland has over 100 diplomatic offices around the world now. but there are only a handful where you get to work with the Irish American community in the way that we do here. So, I think that will forever be something that, I'll remember from this role and look back fondly on. And we do it in a whole range of different ways. We're strategic partners of a lot of Irish community organisations. We provide grants to a lot of Irish community groups in the US. So the Irish government runs a grant program called the Immigrant Support Program. That's been running for over 20 years now. Initially, when that was established, it was primarily about supporting the most vulnerable members of our community. It was Irish people who were maybe new arrivals and needed support on the social services side of things. But it's grown into a cultural grant program as much as anything. Like, yes, the supports are still there for vulnerable members of the Irish community, but as the needs of the Irish diaspora have changed over the years, we've looked at new ways of connecting with them. So, for example, Gaelic Park is a partner of ours that we provide immigrant support program funding to, and that's a real kind of signal of how important the Irish government sees the work of an organisation like Gaelic Park for maintaining that connection.
Now we're doing the work, and Mary, you want to stand up, Mary? Does everybody know Mary Norwell? Our
That's
clerk?
Sure. Yeah.
And I wanted to thank you, we just received a grant for our heritage.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Thanks, Mary. That's great. Good to see you. Yeah, and we're looking forward to spending time at Gaelic Park over St. Patrick's Day in particular. But Gaelic Park, it was the venue in November of 2025 for Ireland's International Famine Commemoration. So, as many of you will be aware, the story of the Great Famine in the mid-19th century. That's I suppose a defining feature of Ireland's history
And America.
And the Irish community here in the US. So every couple of years, the Irish government hosts an international famine commemoration to reflect on that. And Gaelic Park was the venue for the 2025 ceremony, which was a great ceremony.
No, just at a personal level, glad that the Irish government is doing this, because as my mother told the stories, right? She was in Ireland till 43, then she was in London till about 49, then came to the States. And it was get off the boat in New York, get on a train to Chicago, because she had relatives here. Father James O'Connor, her cousin, I guess, was the sponsor, and that's just how it worked. And there was not much help from any other entity other than family. And, planted roots, and here we are. So I appreciate the fact that the government is now more forcefully involved in this.
And I think it's a recognition of the fact that we've benefited a great deal from our Irish diaspora here in the United States, but also around the world. Today there are 30 million people in the US that identify as Irish American, and throughout key moments in Irish history, we have relied on the Irish community in the US for critical support. Whether that was during our independence struggle at the beginning of the 20th century, whether it was the peace process in Northern Ireland towards the end of the 20th century, or whether it's on the economic relationship. In many cases, it is individuals with Irish heritage who have looked to invest in Ireland and looked to support Irish businesses over here as well.
Yeah. Has everybody heard the phrase Celtic tiger? Do you know what that refers to? Right. You've heard this phrase, right? Where for a long time, if you looked at what was going on in some of the Asian countries, they had this great economic surge. And to build on your point, my mother used to ship care packages home, because half the family stayed in Ireland, half came here. So my mother was a family of 8, and half left County Clare and came to the States, half stood there. And there were tough times in Ireland until, I'd call it late 80s, 90s, right? And so Ireland had this surge, and it's now, in a far different place economically than it used to be.
Definitely. I suppose we've in the last couple of years, we've commemorated the founding of the modern Irish state, so Irish independence. And there's no doubt about it that the Ireland that I grew up in and the Ireland that we know today, I think the people who were present at the founding of the independent Ireland in the 1920s. They could only have imagined, how connected we are with the world, how much our economy would have developed. We've really transformed from quite a closed and agricultural economy into a high-tech and globalized economy over the past 100 years. And investment from the US is part of that story, but it's very much a two-way relationship today. So, American companies create large numbers of jobs in Ireland. I think it's about 200,000 directly or indirectly. But equally, Irish companies do the same out here in the US. And we're a small country, about the same size as Cook County, I guess. But Ireland now represents the 5th largest source of foreign direct investment into the United States. It's about 200,000 jobs right across the US, indirectly or directly. And here in Illinois alone, 12,000 jobs. So, for a small country, we've come a long way. And not only have we benefited from US investment in Ireland, but Irish companies are returning the favor now as well.
I prefer pharmaceuticals made in Europe than elsewhere on planet Earth, so I think Ireland's done quite a great job on the pharmaceutical industry and technology, right?
Pharmaceutical industry, technology, life sciences were very, very strong. I mean, if you're looking at Irish business leaders here in the Midwest, unsurprisingly, our agri-food presence is very, very strong here. Not far from here, I suppose, Downers Grove, Glanbia, a nutritional company, employ a really significant number of people. We've obviously got Kerry Gold or Nua as well. But no matter what sector you're looking at, the Irish economy, it's diverse today, and that's reflected in the investment out here as well. Just next week, there is the American Irish Medical Summit is taking place in Chicago for the second time. And that will see Enterprise Ireland, which is the state agency responsible for supporting Indigenous Irish businesses. That will see them bring lots of client companies in the life sciences, pharmaceutical and medtech space to Chicago for engagements around that summit. So it's always evolving.
Right, which is a good thing. Do we have any other questions?
Question.
Sure.
Is the consulate able to assist or aid students who may want to go from the U.S. to Ireland and vice versa, Ireland students?
Repeat the question.
That's a great question. So the question is around the consulate supports for US students who might wish to go to Ireland to study, and for Irish students going in the opposite direction. And short answer is yes. We do a lot of work to try and support Ireland from a study abroad point of view. Ireland it is a leader when it comes to study abroad. So it welcomes the highest number of US citizen study abroad students per capita than any other country. So already Ireland has a great profile built up when it comes to study abroad. One of the things that we do quite a bit is we work with our universities and higher education institutes when they come out here to the US, whether it is hosting an Friends and Alumni event, for example. Just last week I had University College Cork at the consulate where they gathered their alumni and friends, but also took the opportunity to speak to students who were interested in coming to University College Cork. Last year we had 2 Education in Ireland fairs in the Chicagoland area, one downtown and one out in Naperville. So it's something we're certainly very, very engaged on. And in addition to the study abroad piece, we also run a program called the Working Holiday Authorization Program. So the Working Holiday Authorization Program, it's the result of a bilateral agreement between the US and Irish governments, which allows young Irish citizens to live and work in the US for up to 12 months, and young US citizens to live and work in Ireland for up to 12 months. So we process the applications for those, and we work to kind of strike up partnerships to provide opportunities for US citizens who might be interested.
You might want to share that information with our universities and community colleges.
So question there was around sharing that information
The colleges.
with universities and community colleges, and yeah, that's something that we're working hard on doing. So one of the community colleges nearby that we've worked quite a bit with on working holiday is Joliet Junior College. So their culinary and hospitality program there, we've seen a significant number of students travel to Ireland for culinary and hospitality placements. But you know, it's definitely something that we want to do more and make sure that students are aware of these opportunities.
Check with Marine Valley Community.
Yeah, Marine Valley.
Marine Valley, okay.
That's, yeah, Tracy is on the Marine Valley board, so
Great.
you're gonna have a big pitch.
We'll make sure to follow up
And
on that.
this can't be a tough sell, right? Which is learn a skill, go someplace fun. You're young, right? Not hard.
Definitely. I mean, you know, look, it's partly about work experience and practical work experience, but it's also immersing yourself in another culture. With that, and look, I mean, Ireland, for a US citizen arriving in Ireland, you haven't got, you know, a language barrier.
Well, sort of.
Maybe. Yeah.
Sort of.
You can all understand me, okay? Anyway.
Yeah, sort of. My cousin his brogue is so thick that sometimes even the Irish have trouble understanding Vincent. So it depends. And go ahead, sir, in the back.
If someone were hypothetically traveling to Ireland, should they learn Gaelic or Gaelic before they go?
That's a great question. So that question is about learning Gaelic or the Irish language. So the short answer is no. I mean, English is the language that is widely spoken in Ireland. Irish is the majority language in small communities, generally around the West Coast. Not exclusively on the West Coast, but generally around the West Coast. But you know, Irish is our working language. English is our working language, I should have said, my apologies. Irish, it is our official language still, but on an everyday basis, all you need to get by is to speak English. That said, there has been a major resurgence in the Irish language since, I guess, the late 1800s, really. So a phenomenon called the Gaelic revival took place. It led to all sorts of initiatives to promote the Irish language, including the establishment of Irish language schools. And so myself, as a child, I was educated exclusively in the Irish language, even though my parents didn't speak the Irish language at home, but they opted to send me.
Oh, really?
Yes. And it's just because, you know, this was the nearby school. It was a good school, so.
So it from what I could tell, not an easy language to learn. Or you kind of grew up with it, so you might have a different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the language learning experience for me was you were just immersed in it, so I didn't have
no choice.
You know? I just arrived at school and they started speaking Irish to me, and I needed to get on with it. It probably depends on what languages you may have learned previously, but you know, it's not related to, you know, your Romance languages. If there's any Scots Gaelic speakers here, you'll find it pretty easy to learn Irish, but it depends.
Question here.
Say something in Gaelic.
So Díomh, especially Padraig Manning, agus tá anó hasarm about live in So I just said, I'm Padraig Manning, I'm happy to be here with you today. Looking ahead to St. Patrick's Day, we can give the Irish greeting, which is Lá Éile Padraig son Díomh. So that's happy St. Patrick's Day.
There you go. Before you leave, we're all going to have to practice that and prove proficiency. So, no, that's because it's fun. It's interesting you hear. It's like I typically will call it refer to Gaelic,
Yeah.
and you just said multiple times speak the Irish, which is kind of reminding me of how my mother described the language.
Yeah, and look, I don't really know why that is, but I know that American communities tend to call it Gaelic. We don't call it Gaelic at home. We call it Irish or Gaelic.
Mary, what do you call it? You call it Gaelic or Irish?
I just wanted to say that Gaelic Park does offer classes in Irish language, so if anybody's interested, take a look on our website.
Great, yeah, and Gaelic Park, I know that they've been doing Irish language classes for some time, and it's something that maybe surprised me a little bit when I came out here. at how strong the Irish language is here in the Midwest. So along with Gaelic Park, the Irish American Heritage Centre on the northwest side, there's an Irish language school there with a really, really significant number of learners. A lot of universities around the Midwest are teaching the Irish language. And in some cases, the people who want to learn the Irish language, they are Irish Americans who want to connect with their heritage. But in many other cases, they're people who just want to learn a less commonly taught language. And this is the one they decide to look at. And even if you look at Duolingo, the language learning app, in the United States, the Irish language is one of the most popular languages people are learning on that app.
No, that's good. I'm glad that more countries and ethnic groups are taking their heritage seriously to preserve it and keep it alive. So that's very encouraging. Good.
St. Patrick's Day in 2 weeks from today. Would you like to hear an Irish joke?
Uh-oh. He wants to tell an Irish joke. Should we give him the floor? Go ahead.
What's Irish and stays out all night?
I'm not sure.
Patio furniture.
But I'm bummed. All right. Unfortunately, I think you're going to get quoted a few times because that's actually kind of a keeper. That's pretty funny. Any other questions or comments? I got a couple of quick things I want to cover. Go ahead, sir.
What kind of skills did you develop while working in diplomacy?
What kind of skills?
What kind of skills do I develop working in diplomacy? I think first and foremost, it's people skills. That's one of the things that struck me about entering the Irish Foreign Service was how diverse the backgrounds of everyone who came in
In the Foreign
in the
Service.
Foreign Service. Yeah. So I mean, you had lots of people who were law students, for example, and studied languages, and studied political science and government. But you had a whole range of other people as well. People who had studied the sciences, people who had maybe thought about studying medicine, for example, and ended up in the Foreign Service. Because it wasn't necessarily about your expertise or your knowledge on international affairs at that point in time, but it was more about some of the softer skills and the transferable skills that you could apply both at home, but also when you're out abroad representing your country internationally. And I think one of the most important things, as I said, is people skills. It's about being able to develop a network here and to represent your country in doing so.
In my former corporate life, I traveled a fair bit around the country and some international, and I don't think that there was a major European city I was in where I couldn't find a bar named after an Irishman. And so I think we Irish have a legend, a myth, or maybe the truth of being quite social and quite very focused on people, which is an important piece.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the...
Would you agree with my diagnosis
I
on the bars?
I would, and speaking, I know maybe it sounds trivial when we talk about Irish bars, but if you look at the Irish bars here in, I suppose in Chicago, which is where I know best, the Irish bars there, yes, they're fantastic establishments with great food and great drink and great music, but they're also real hubs for the Irish community. And a lot of these pubs or bars or restaurants, they provide a space for celebrations of Irish culture, whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's just a place to watch an Irish sports game. And they're they're really inclusive spaces. Like, yes, they're hubs for the Irish community, but we take a very broad and inclusive view of the Irish community. It is the people who were born in Ireland, it's people who are of Irish heritage, but also people who are connected to Ireland in different ways. And I think a lot of those pubs or restaurants, in many cases, they provide a space for that celebration.
For that celebration, yep. Just a really quick note, and then so I've had this discussion with many people. I personally think Guinness tastes better in Ireland. Can you confirm or deny?
So that is a sensitive question for me
Uh-oh.
because so as I said at the outset, I'm from Cork, second city in Ireland. I'd mentioned that there's a bit of a rivalry between Cork and Dublin. We don't really drink Guinness.
Oh, really? Hey, we're recording, my friend. Just.
Well, so in Cork, the Cork stouts are Murphy's and Beamish.
Ah.
So there are two different stouts, Murphy's and Beamish, that would be very, very popular in Cork. Now, I mean, it certainly is the case. Guinness, people drink Guinness in Cork. People drink Guinness all over the island of Ireland. But we're very proud in Cork, and Murphy's and Beamish are the Cork today.
Murphy's and Beamish, we'll add that to the list. We'll have to go figure out the next event, what kind of brings them in. The Kinsale is in Cork, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. There's some pretty interesting archaeological ruins not so outside of Kinsale that I discovered on a trip in Ireland where we hit Cork. My mother's from Clare, so we're kind of making the J-hook around. But how many people have been to Ireland?
Okay.
I really can sell a year ago.
Oh, there you go. It's a pretty cool place. It's a great little town.
Yeah, and I think what you'll find throughout Ireland is it's a diverse vacation experience, because you might fly into Dublin and you are in a large European city, a modern European city, and then
Yes.
you know you can head down to Cork. You can see some of rural Ireland. You can see our our heritage, things like you've just mentioned there. And then traveling around the west coast as well, that's really second to none, doing that wild Atlantic way. So there really is, I suppose, something for everyone in Ireland, whether it's the case that you want to do a city break in somewhere like Dublin or Cork, or if you want to get out into nature, we've got that too.
Yeah, well, I still have relatives, and they still have, my cousin Vincent still has the family farm out in Clare. So we kind of stay connected to him and my cousin Thomas, because like I said, the classic Irish story. Half my mom's family stayed in Ireland, half came to the States and made a go of it. But no, I want a quick public service announcement for everybody here, but then we'll wrap up and see if there's any questions. We'll stay for a few minutes. So thank you. This was very much appreciated. Question? Oh, our host. Come on, Kara, come on. Don't be shy. The owner, host.
Hi everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for spending time with us today and coming and trying our food and our ambiance. And I greatly appreciate the mayor's hospitality as well. So thank you guys so much for coming, and I hope you all enjoyed everything.
It's a fun spot. Thank you. All right, so just to wrap this up quickly, have you noticed relatively more police cars running around Orland? Have you noticed? Has anybody been caught yet? All right, the reason I'm asking is one of the number one things that I've heard from residents are people who ignore stop signs. And what we've discovered in Orland Park after a little bit of research, if you put a cop car near that stop sign, it magically starts to work again. So if you see the police cars in your subdivisions with their cruise lights on, they're not flashing. You've seen some of those with some of the police cars. We now have a bigger police department. So we speak right now, there's 15 officers on the streets patrolling Orland. So we've jumped up a lot in terms of what we're doing. And we just want the presence to be there to make sure everybody understands that what Orland Park Police Department is doing. So that's kind of point number one. And point number two, and this one is one of my pet peeves. I apologize looking at my phone. I got this from the chief this morning. So we're making more stops. So I'm telling you, as Orland Park residents, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, laws are not suggestions, and we're serious about the speed limits, right? So that's happening. And we had 28 aggravated speeders in 1 month. Now, aggravated speeding is 26 miles an hour over the speed limit. So we've all seen people who seem to want to go 50 in a subdivision, bad idea, or 110 miles an hour in LaGrange Road. So we are actively working on that one. So again, just absolutely pay attention to the speed limit, both in your subdivision, and if you see something, you have to say something. We just had a call the other day where a woman appropriately asked for a stop sign or some issue with an intersection in her subdivision. We said, you know what, we'll send an officer out there, so we'll do focused details on that area. And I said it's really magical. You put a cop near an intersection, all of a sudden everybody remembers rules of the roads. It's just amazing how this works. But again, just on behalf of the village, thank you for being here, and for everybody here, you'll see that more police officers on the street. There's a reason we expanded our police department, and they're doing enforcement, so they're making more traffic stops. So the attempt is, this is not about the money, so get that off the table. This is not about the fines. it's compliance, right? So tell everybody you know, just pay attention, and we'll all be in pretty good shape. And if you see a cop doing his or her job, just make sure you thank him. All right? Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone. Delighted to join you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks, brother.